do my raw processing with. All right, cool beans. Hello, hello, hello. Let's fix up this mic a little bit. Cool beans. All right, so yeah, today I'm gonna go and really try to finish up this image. I was playing with this yesterday, and it was super, super cool. Cool, cool. All right. Sound check. All right, sound. All right, hello, hello.
Sounds great.
All right, cool beans. All right, so today I'm gonna kind of get started with what I was playing with yesterday. What I basically did is I did frequency separation. I cleaned up the backdrop. I've not removed any of the wrinkles. I don't know if that's necessary with this image yet, just because of the style of image that it is. So I might leave it as kind of like this edgy little feel. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And keep hitting the mute. Yeah, today basically I'm going to go and completely finalize this image. So color grading, softening of the skin, all that good stuff. So get her super, super dimensional, add some atmosphere, all that good stuff. So here we go, time to play. Might tweak this just a little bit. There we go. All right, cool. All right, so first things first. So what I like to do is one of my applications or kind of plugins that I have goes in with my actions, but basically it kind of helps my workflow a lot. So a thing that I do quite frequently is up to and vertical. And what I essentially do is I'll get one side of the screen where it'll have kind of the whole composition. So I can see what my changes do to the whole image. And then this one, I will go and zoom in quite a bit just so I can actually see and make sure on the more subtle level that everything is going to work out really well. All right, so Here we go. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go smash my layers down from what I did with frequency separation, and kind of go from there. So I could probably go to get rid of that, just kind of save my file size. And then I'm going to go and open directly into luminosity masking. I have a action for that. If you've never used luminosity masking for color grading, it's really the tits. It's super, super good. Anyway, just Google search luminosity masks. And you'll find a bunch of creatives that have made actions for you. Probably some behind a paywall. Some might be free. Just do a little bit of research real quick. And real quick, if you haven't seen them used before, I'll show you that right now. So basically, I'm going to do the lights, the darks, and the midtones. And that's going to show up in my channels, and with that I can go and select them. So typically you would have the blue, the green, the red channel, and then the RGB, and all of those are going to basically allow you to select different levels or parts of the image as a selection. What the luminosity mask do is it basically makes it so that I can control the values in the image and control those. So where the highlights are, where the speculars are, all that good stuff. So anyway, I'm going to start with light 1, and that's going to be your broad, almost large area aspects of highlights. So pretty much anywhere where there's large light sources in the shot. And I'm going to go straight into color grading. So I like to use selective color for that, in that I have access to reds, yellows, your magentas, your whites, your neutrals, and your blacks. So I can start working on flesh tones. What is it if she or my model essentially had blues or greens in the image? I would also mess with those, but I don't really think that's going to be the case today. So we'll kind of go play from there. While I'm getting started, if you want to say hi, if you have any questions, just hit the chat. Also check out my Instagram. That's where I post kind of my little edits as I get done with them. It kind of showcases my progression, trying to make myself better as a photographer, but also as a retoucher. So here we go. So what I'm trying to avoid when I do color grading is I don't want to do like a cast. So I don't want red everywhere in the image. I don't want yellows. I don't want to do like that LUT feel, like a color lookup. I appreciate it. Yay. Doing some amazing pictures. Yeah, like I have big props to my wife. She's Danny. She helps me a lot with my photo shoots. She also helps me with the models and stuff like that. And then obviously the model, yeah, them being workable is super important. So, yeah, a lot of people go into, anytime I have a good shot that comes out of my camera, I might have the eye for it, but I have a lot of help to make it happen. So I appreciate those people very much. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is in the highlights, I'm going to pull the blues out of it, and it's going to start with a red cast, but I'm going to go calm that down with my other layers. And what I want to do is, because I shoot Nikon, a lot of the colors are a little bit flat, or they seem to be, even if I go and shoot super vivid and just kind of crank the saturation up, it's still kind of flat. So what I like to do with luminosity masking is I like to introduce colors into my highlights Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, this is actually kind of up to and vertical. This is kind of my workflow. So I just have it on two different screens, and one makes it so that I can work close on her or whoever the model in frame is, and then the other one that's pulled out. Is so that I could see the whole image as a whole composition and what all changes I do. When I get done with this image, I will be cropping in. So I'll do the whole image. I'll do a crop kind of like this, and then I'll do one that showcases her face. And that way I can go and, yeah, that's super awesome. Yeah, Vivid is awesome. It's like saved my life. I think before I started shooting Vivid, like I was just like, this can't be real. These photos, like even with good lighting, like the color is just not there. Yeah, Vivid's cool. But yeah, like when I get done with this, I'll be cropping in 3 different times, and that way I can showcase my work and go into detail. But I can do so with instead of zooming in, I can go crop the images to make sure that they don't pixelate. If somebody wants to see a closer look. So basically I pulled the blues out of the highlights. I cranked the magentas up a little bit. That's going to give me a little bit of color on her lips, and it's going to start giving me a base where I can start painting color in. I've said this before in other streams, is that my background is oil-based painting, and a lot of how I used to get really, really rich colors in my oil base is I would do glazing. And so I treat my pictures the same way, or I'm learning to at least. And what I do is I get kind of a flat, or not flat as in not dimensional, but flat as in not a lot of color. It's not rich, right, in the flesh tones from my Nikon, and I see that as almost like a monochromatic underpainting. A colorless underpainting where I have established values. And what I do after with luminosity masks and selective color is I start introducing color through a lot of very subtle layers of glazing. So I'm basically glazing with luminosity masks to get a very kind of vibrant image. When I do this, I am making sure that I'm also hitting kind of dodge and burn at the same time. So a lot of my color choices will actually start to, I don't know, basically it'll start getting dimensional because I'm using cools, in the shadows or the highlights, but then I'm also using the opposite in the shadows and highlights. So I might have, hot shadows or warm shadows, and then I might have cool highlights or the exact opposite. And what that does, is it starts making the model more dimensional, and I won't have to use, or at least by and large, I won't have to use dodge and burn because she'll start to be very, very 3D. But I'm actually using color to create that 3D. The old painters, the old master painters, they'd use perspective, obviously, to do depth, but a lot of the depth that they created is actually with color choices and stuff like that. So, they would use reds contrasting to blue and things of the sort, and that would suggest depth with how our eyes work without there being any depth there. So it's kind of a cool way to work. I don't really explain it too well. Yeah, definitely. So if you want to use luminosity masks, definitely hit up Google. I really need to do like a spreadsheet or a kind of a drop link and drop it into my my bio on Twitch of like kind of my resources. I haven't gotten there yet, but what I could do, or what you could do in the meantime, is just keyword search luminosity masking and Google and see if you could find those resources. And then in the next week or so, what I'm going to do is basically make a collection of resources of like where I get kind of the tools that I use when I'm working in Photoshop. And then that way, like when I talk about that stuff, if y'all get a technique that you dig or something like that and want to use it in your own work, like you can go find it. So I think that'd be super cool. But yeah, I was super happy when I got turned on to luminosity masking. It was a really big game changer for me. So I used to use it in my 3D art and my digital map paintings. Before I even did like photography, I would use things like that. So it's not even just photography that you're going to use that. So with this mask, there's no magenta. I think I got carried away talking, but it's not finding any magenta in this layer. So I've already established my yellows and my reds, but I'm going to go play with my whites real quick, right? So this is going to go straight into the highlight. And you'll notice that there's a shift in the background, right? So I'm going to be mindful of that because I do think I'm going to keep a white background and I don't want to blow it out. So if I start blowing out my backdrop, essentially I'm going to make sure that I clip her out because I do want to give her very dynamical skin, interesting skin. But I don't want to mess up my backdrop. So what I'm going to try to do with this image is I'm going to try to make a white backdrop cool. And if you can make a white backdrop cool because you got a cool model and freaking you got a cool team and all that good stuff, then you got something, because you basically got a chick on a stool with a white backdrop and you made it fashion. So that's always rad. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, I'll definitely, Instagram's fun. I just started. Oh, yeah, definitely. So, like, with this one, I think there's a lot from this shoot, and there's a lot from shooting Danny. Basically, my lovely wife. She's one of my most frequented models, definitely. But like I'm using a different light setup than I used to, and Instagram is kind of very new to me. Like doing this type of photography, like portrait and kind of editorial and fashion. I've only been doing this since August, so my Instagram is pretty small potatoes right now. I think there's only like 30 images, and you can see, the progression of like, I don't know, in a couple months of, where I was getting used to my actual studio shoots, where I was experimenting with models. And now I'm starting to get a feel for what I actually want to do, and who I actually want to shoot. So hopefully you'll be seeing more of this model. Hopefully you'll be seeing a whole lot more always of Danny. I love shooting her. And then a couple more, and then essentially I'll start establishing what my look is, and just kind of move from there and figure out like, hey, do I want to do portraits? Do I want to do, editorial? Do I want to do like an edgy fashion? We'll just kind of see how it goes. So right now though, it's I'm new to all this, so I'm going to just play and hang out with y'all. It'll be super cool. So when I play with the blacks, when I'm in selective color, I'm really, really careful. And I don't go into the black channel of black, in that I don't like solid black in my images. I like rich blacks. So, if I have black, I want yellow in it, or I want red in it, or I want purple in it, or blue, or something like that. I don't want just black. I think it's ugly, and if you take it to print, like say you're a digital painter or something like that, you do like Photoshop paintings or something like that, or like 3D, if you ever use straight black, it's just, you know, unless you're doing graphic design or like 2D, it looks terrible. So anytime you want to do something that's actually dimensional, definitely, in my opinion, make your blacks really rich. Anyway, the selective color, the first one is kind of done. So, oh, oh, okay, that's so awesome. All right, yeah, definitely. I'll slow it down a little bit. Sorry, I get a little bit excited. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think um, when I kind of go and uh, think about my work, and I think about, you know, doing Twitches and doing Instagram, um, you know, I have a little bit of a mind for, you know, hey, it'd be cool if I grow. But really, I think right now my only um, concentration really is kind of doing good work. Um, and then figuring out like what platforms like this are like for instance like talking to you, like for instance is like you know, I get to go talk to somebody from Brazil, like that's so neat, you know, and I need to go figure out what that's about and um, mm, you know, how to understand the communities that I'm in with, you know, with these creatives and stuff like that of people that want to learn and grow. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think the what I'm gonna do with Instagram and all that good stuff is I'm just gonna keep doing it, and if it goes somewhere, cool, and if it doesn't, you know, cool too. I'm gonna have a ton of fun, and I'm gonna meet some really really cool people. Um, so I made a mistake real quick. So when you're doing your adjustment layers, essentially, I made a mistake and I didn't actually select the pixels in the map. Um, and so it didn't give me, like, if I hit Alt and then, um, you know, click on the mask, I can see the mask that is actually on this color selection or this adjustment layer. So it's important that you actually select the channel with this little circle thing before you add um, what is an actual adjustment map. Yay. Well, I'm definitely glad you came by to visit, so it's definitely a pleasure to meet you. So I'm gonna go. Okay, so this is the second luminosity mask. So this is the brighter highlights of the image, and I think I could go two more steps higher as far as almost all the way to like the rim of her nose, the bridge of her nose, and by her eye. You know, that's where you get like that really poppy specular highlight. Um, and I'll be going all the way to those channels, and I'll be basically glazing over uh, color into them, and that way her skin is super super rich. A lot going on in it. If you ever zoom into a really good a really good picture of a human being, essentially, yeah, their skin has, God, probably 20 plus colors in it. You know, skin has a lot of color in it. So I like to make skin beautiful if I can. And I think the more that I do this, the more important to me that's going to become. And I think a lot of it is skill. So a lot of what I can't do is because I just don't know how to do it. But once I learn how, I'm definitely going to play with it. Cool. So reds. So a lot of this selective color is going back and forth with sliders, and it's just trusting my eyes. I don't have a particular method or anything like that. There's no really rhyme or reason or a recipe. It's just trusting my eyes. So I'm gonna boost this yellow up a little bit where it gets in the mouth, and that way when I go and pull the highlights in the lips, I can go use like a blue or a purple in the highlight, and hopefully that's gonna be not only pretty but make her pop a little bit. So again, I'm playing with the whites again, so I'm going to be mindful of the background. And this is where I'm going to pull the blues up a little bit. I want a little bit of that cool color in there. And pull the yellows back out of the whites. So I'm reading your comment of what you told you want to learn. I don't quite understand your question. Can you rephrase that for me a little bit? So with the whites, I pulled the blacks way down, and if you can see in her face, it's basically starting to get that 3-dimension, and this is where I'm going to get the base to where I don't need to use any kind of dodge and burn. I'm going to be able to do the natural curvature of her anatomy and have the light falls on her face to be able to do that. So another thing that I am mindful of is when I'm playing with the neutrals, so almost the medium gray as far as value, is that even if I'm on a luminosity mask, it's going to make very universal kind of changes, like so changes all over the body. And I want to make sure that I'm not doing a yellow or a red cast on her skin. So I definitely want to break it up. Oh, okay. Let me try to recall what I was saying. What was I saying? Give me a second. It'll come back to me, I'm sure. So I actually don't completely remember. That's super fun. So when I'm mixing colors, sometimes I go on tangents and I have no idea what I'm saying. Wow. I don't know. Hopefully it comes back to me. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's so fun. I hope it comes back to me and stuff like that. Sometimes I just really start talking. So hopefully I run into the same problem and readdress it. But just kind of go from there. But I definitely appreciate it. So I'll continue learning and growing. So I'm going to go to the light mask 3. I'm going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to go back to the reds. And this is going to be where the speculars are, especially when I go into the blacks. So I'm hoping... That's so funny. Yeah, so I found out that Steam Labs OBS, I guess it's a plugin you could do with Twitch. You can stream. I want to say you could stream on YouTube, Twitch, and I want to say TikTok at the same time. Um, so. But yeah, I think I'm just doing that now. Like the YouTube, a big part of that is I just want content on there. And I also want to, because I think Twitch deletes your saved videos after like a week or two, whereas YouTube does not. So I just kind of want to build like a history of, my edits and progression and my engagement with people. So but yeah, it's allowing me to do both at the same time, so super cool. So something that I'm mindful of, again, right now it's backdrop, but especially when I get into the midtones and the shadows, I'm going to be referencing the full shot as well, so that I can concentrate on making sure that I don't move the backdrop too far from white. And then also I need to make sure that the clothing, her stockings, her shoes, the stool, and then her legs, I'm not making color shifts that I'm seeing in this one that aren't matching up. So I do need to be mindful of both. So at this point I'm going to go in, make a group. So I'm going to select the changes. I'm going to group it into a file, and then I'm going to put just color. Just put a little tag on it. I'll make it blue. And this makes it so that I can toggle on and off all of my adjustments and kind of see what it's doing. That's awesome. Yeah, after the stream, I'll go look up your channel for sure. So especially if you go and stream, give you some support. I'd love to see it. All right, so I think whites are good. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, let's go play with neutrals again, and then I'm going to start moving into the midtones and the shadows. So this whole process is tedious. It's definitely not, just kind of putting a color lookup table on something, or just doing a quick curves adjustment. I think the more involved my retouches become, like I could see myself in 2 months where, one image, if it's worth it, if it's a good image, really kind of takes me 5, 6, 7 hours to do. And I think I need to be okay with that. But it is not a quick process. So I'm looking to do a new backdrop. Here in the near future, I think I want to start changing my look and the environment, but I still want it to spend the next several months in a studio setting. I'm not really wanting to go out in the world yet as far as doing on location. Really, I want to get good at working with models, really good at using my light setup and my camera, and getting the best image out of camera as possible before I even take it into Photoshop. And then I think once I do that, I'll start shooting on location and seeing what that world's all about. All right, cool. All right, so just make sure that I'm on the right track. So essentially she's getting a whole lot richer. She's getting a little bit more saturated, but it's not like overblown. So being mindful of her stockings and her leggings and her legs, and making sure that she's matching up pretty well. Cool. All right. So that's probably as far as I want to go as far as the lights are concerned. I'm gonna play with the darks, and then what I'll start doing after I've infused color into the midtones, the lights, and the darks, is I'll start playing with values, and just getting the model to be very dimensional. So this one's going to be a midtone. I appreciate the follow, definitely. Yeah, like after my stream, I'll definitely be on there and go check out your work. I appreciate the support so much. Yeah, I really think, just being part of this community is going to be a whole lot of fun. Just really kind of enriching. See if I could change up the music a little bit. That's a little bit weird. Oh, definitely. That's super cool. Yeah, I've always not necessarily wondered, but like it's like when people kind of break into that sort of thing to I don't know, be a trusted photographer, if you will. I've always been interested in that. So I think I have some work to do as far as my own competency. But I think that would be definitely a cool goal eventually, is to be able to work with industry people that do kind of commercial type work, fashion type work, stuff like that. Definitely be cool to see. So I think this might be where I start calming down the yellows. Um, I don't think it's bad at all, but it seems that she's getting kind of an orange cast on her skin. And there's a lot more of that color than I would particularly like. So start playing with that a little bit. So I think this mid-tone map doesn't have a lot of information in it, so I don't know how far I'm going to be able to pull any of this stuff. I might have to go straight into the shadows to be able to do that. So, but we'll see what kind of adjustments I can make real quick. Okay, so that's definitely calmed down a lot. I do want to make sure that I'm not making her flat by doing so. Okay, I like it. Super cool. So midtones kind of mess me up a little bit as far as the luminosity masks. I think it's probably where I second guess myself the most. But usually I'll fiddle with it for a good minute because it does set a good base for when I go into the shadows to make sure that I don't clip the colors or make things too contrasty. So I want the fall off, even though she becomes more and more three-dimensional. I want to make sure that the fall off of colors and the fall off of values stays very, very soft. So a little bit of finessing with that. And then, so it's super, super subtle. Very cool. All right. Cool. So we're off to shadows. All right. So dark one, that's going to be your most, I guess, broadly or universal shadows. So we'll play with that real quick. And of course, I didn't make a mask. So we'll go mask this out. Selective color. All right, cool. And this again is where I'm going to go and make sure that I don't end up putting a cast on her skin. So I don't want the same colors in both the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. I'm actually going to zoom this in a little bit. So that's another thing that I've noticed is this model is freckled. And that's been presenting little challenges to me in that I don't want to take those away. So luminosity masking, depending on the type of computer and what your hardware is, it is a bit taxing. Yeah, I've had images, and granted I didn't collapse them down, but nevertheless I've had them go up to 4 and 5 and 6 gigabytes. But luminosity masks and channels, that will definitely eat up your memory. It's a super weird music going on. Just gotta play with something else. Alright, we'll play with that real quick. Alright, cool. Alright, well, I'm going to do a real quick intermission real quick and go get something to drink, and I will be right back. In the meantime, I will leave the tunes on. Cool. All right, and I'm back. Cool. I love this platform. I love that I get to go talk to people that have different backgrounds and are doing different things around the world. Who'd have thought? So I'm having a little bit of trouble with the contrast on the shaded part of her cheek. I feel like it's starting to be flat. But we'll see what we can do with it. So it's got some red, so we'll see if we can get some dimension in there. I think I'm happy with that. Cool. All right. So I think this upcoming week I want to definitely go start participating in the community. You know, there's other photographers and Photoshop users and retouchers, and you know, I want to be able to go and see what they're doing and kind of learn from them and interact with them. I think that'd be super cool. See if I could find myself a collection of mentors that are just active in the community. So I'm liking bringing this yellow up. I cooled it down a lot in the midtones, and it's making it so I can bring it back in the shadows, but it's not making it so that her skin is kind of orange. So I'm liking that quite a bit. So I do want to be mindful of her hair right now because there's a lot of dark in it. And I don't want to make it so her hair's grainy at all, you know, or orangey or something like that. So I need to pay attention to both her hair, the backdrop, her legs, all that good stuff, all the little subtleties. Just be aware of those things. Because if you overdo it, especially if you work like I'm starting to work, where you collapse your edits, essentially. Like when I'm happy with what I did, you know, I'll make a stamp of it. So I'll basically blend all the layers together, and then I'll delete all the layers under it. And if you don't realize you made a mistake, it's hard to get that back. Okay, again in the neutrals. I'm gonna take away the blue just a little bit. See if I can get some interesting range of color. The shadows, I think I'm actually going to zero these out real quick. And we'll go to blacks real quick. And I think I'm just going to add a little bit of blue to it and call it a day with that. See what my whole adjustment is. Cool. All right. All right. So sometimes, like if it's not reading, like I do a very slight adjustment. I'll go and drag it to 100% or to 0 or negative 95, I guess. I guess it goes to negative 100. And basically, when I'm doing that, I'm just seeing if there's any values or any color that I can actually work with. So I'm going to play with the blues a little bit high on this one. And here we go. And cool. So I feel like I was able to, with dark 1 and dark 2 on the luminosity masks, I was able to bring back a lot of the depth and the detail or the definition of her cheek. It doesn't look so flat. That was bothering me a little bit. So that's kind of cool. All right, so this is going to be the last with the selective color is with this mask. And then I'm going to go and start messing with levels, doing level adjustments. And let's see if I can go and really step up her flesh and her form to another level. Another level, if I could talk properly. Yeah. So I'm not liking that magenta and blue. It's almost like almost like I have like a cyan kind of color on it. So calm that down a little bit. And I'm not going to mess with the blacks at all. All right, cool. All right, so... All right, so I'm kind of happy with that for right now. And... Cool. Very good. All right, happy. Alright, so what I could play with this is I can go to light 1 again. And then essentially I'm going to play with levels. And with that, you have the RGB channel. You have the red, the green, and the blue. So you could kind of interchange with them. And what I'm going to do is see just how kind of bright and poppy that I want to do. I'm not sure if I want to do like this kind of fashiony look, but like do a soft look. So, you know, it's bright and it's contrasty, but the fall off to the shadows and the highlights are not. So where you would get contrast would be maybe be the hair, the clothing, the model to the background, stuff like that. So the composition is contrasty, but the actual flesh tones are not. So I'm in the red channel, and so I'm making the reds a bit darker. And again, I don't want to do a red cast on anything. So I'm mindful of where that goes on the whole image. Cool, so green channel. I'm gonna leave that at 100, see if I want to, or kind of baseline to the neutral. And then almost like that. It almost like yeah, it just helps out. And I feel like playing in the blue channel is where I'm starting to almost get these oranges and make them into like an orangish pink. And what's going to be cool with that is I'm going to be able to get her skin to where it's got like this almost like pastel look, very creamy. And hopefully that's the way that it goes, and it's that simple. So, alright, so I'm going to go to the second light channel. Do it again. I did not want curves, I want levels. Alright, let's play again. Alright, cool beans. So I want to make sure that I don't blow any of the highlights out. And then I want to make sure that I have color information to work with. If you go and blow it out too much, you're going to go blow it out to white. And then essentially you're not going to have any color information. So that's like if you were in camera and you were shooting too hot or something like that. It's not the best. Cool. All right, fun. And then back into the blue channel. And we'll see if I want to play at all. And if you were with me since the beginning of the stream, something that I've mentioned, and I've mentioned it on other streams this past week, that I like to do very, very subtle changes with color. And I like to think of them as you would a painting. When you're doing oil-based painting, you're essentially going to glaze your colors on, and you're going to slowly build them up. And it takes time, but as I progress with my work, I'm noticing that it's worth the effort. So that goes straight into contrasty. I don't really like that. So we'll reset that. See if there's anything interesting in the red channel. And then if not, I'll move to the next map and see what I want to play with. So there's a little bit more blue information. To work with over here. Cool. All right, so I feel like this level 3 adjustment is too much, so I'm gonna get rid of it and just call it a day. And I'm gonna move into my darks real quick. All right, so that's gonna be levels, dark 1, select levels. All right, cool. So this is where I could go super contrasty, or I can go kind of get that magazine type look, or whatever, just kind of playing with. Almost like if you were to dehaze or haze the blacks or something like that in your image. So not quite what I want. But at the same time, it is useful when you go and play with the highlights. Or the lights, the white basically, on a gradient in the shadows, because you're going to end up getting almost like a wraparound light, which is kind of cool. So kind of help with dimensionality. The reds are going to help me get some of those grays back out. There we go. Blues. Play with that a little bit. Let's see if I want to. No, I think I'm going to leave that at a neutral. So 50% gray. All right, cool. All right, we'll go to dark 2 real quick. I think I'm only going to do this on dark 1 and dark 2. I might go into the mid-tones. I'm not sure, though. And then hopefully the first color pass will be done. And I can kind of move forward. All right, reds. So I really like what that's doing on the lips, and it's kind of cool because it's not really doing red in the rest of the skin. Or nothing that I don't like, at least. So I'm going to bring that back to 100, so back to 50% gray. And I'm going to go play with the blues real quick. So again, that's just kind of doing a dehazing. So I'm going to leave that. Cool. So I feel like I've brought a lot of richness to her skin. I'm not sure if I still want to keep the backdrop white. So I might play with that a little bit. I'm not too sure. So let's do kind of some universal color grading real quick. So I'm going to go and do selective color, but I'm not going to put a luminosity mask on it. And I'm going to go to the reds, and I just want to make sure that I'm not doing I want to tie everything together that I've just done, basically. So, I've infused different ranges of color in the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. And so now I'm doing kind of a universal color correction. And just kind of getting a, hopefully a very pretty flesh tone out of it. Super cool. Alright, so we'll go to the yellows. I think this is where some interesting changes might occur. So again, with this particular image, at least for me, I like soft skin. So it's interesting when the model's wearing something super edgy. Yeah, but that's kind of the contrast. The contrast is like the subject and, her wardrobe, not, the whole image together. So, there's a softness to her, and then there's an edginess to what she's wearing. And, I kind of like the idea that the, that's where basically the contrast in the composition resides. So it's almost like when I look at photography of something that's like super industrial, and it's in the middle of nature. There's a contrast to it, but when done well, it's really, really kind of, I don't know, it does nice things to my headspace. I like it quite a bit. So again, I don't want to blow out her highlights too much. Because I do want her to pop from the background. So I'm just trying to make sure that those things are kind of smoothed out and stay that way. So I'm going to leave the neutrals alone, I think. If I do anything to the blacks, it's going to be very, 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 very slight. so I took about 2% away from the blues, added 1% in the magenta, and I'm going to leave the yellows alone. Right, so the difference is super, super slight, but she's got a lot of more orange in her, even in her lips. And then with what I just did, it calms it down, but it kind of desaturated her lips as well. So I'd like to kind of see what I can do with that. Kind of like the image overall so far though, so not too bad. So what I might do is I might go and drop my masks. So essentially I'm going to go into my actions. I'm going to go to delete lights, darks, and midtones, and then do a color balance adjustment real quick. And see if we can finish off this first pass of color grading. And I did like the yellow in there. So I like how it wraps around the cheek over here when I turn it on. Just that added little pop of color. So that's kind of cool. Alright, so we're going to go midtones. Alright, so midtones might be unnecessary. See what the blue does real quick. Alright, cool. Alright, so we're going to move that to 0 as well. Let's go to the highlights real quick. See where we're at. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to play with that for the time being. I've deleted all of my luminosity masking. I'm going to basically make a stamp. So if you've never done that, it's Control Shift Alt and then E. I think it's Option, so it'd be Control Shift Option E if you were on a Mac, I do believe. And then I just want to see. Cool. All right, so this color layer. That's interesting. So I wonder. So all of the adjustments that I just made, I made under. I wonder what the difference is. Alright, so no difference, so no hum, no foul. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this entire levels adjustment, color layer, and then just kind of trust my gut that I'm going in the right path. So essentially, it went from out of camera to retouch, or to retouch, to color grading, or first color grading. So what I'm going to do with this is, so we're doing white in the background still, cool. Alright, so first and foremost, I'm going to save it. And then there's a plugin that I quite like. It's actually, I think, a standalone program, but you can plug it into Photoshop. But if you go into filter, it's called Alien Skin or Exposure X3. So if you've never used that, I don't know, I like it. I'll show you what I use in it. There's 90% of the program I don't use, but I do. Like it, like almost like if I was in Photoshop's raw editor. So if I converted it to, this to a smart object, or a smart filter, and then it went into the raw filter. It's kind of the same thing, but I like how this program understands color for the purpose that I'm about to do. So cool beans. Let's see if I can get a different scene. Yeah, different scene. Cool. So this stuff on the left, that's under my kind of thumbnail for, my webcam. I don't really use those at all. I use all this stuff over here. And again, it's very close to what you would see in Capture One, Lightroom if you use Lightroom. And then Photoshop Camera Raw. But again, the way that it recognizes some colors is a little bit different. So I like it because I feel like I can go and kind of intuitively pull things out that I didn't see before. Another thing I like about this is you can still work in layers. Cool. And I've noticed that in my work, or at least what I know how to do currently, I've been able to kind of, I don't know, make like a more of a 3D effect, I guess, with how everything works. So I'm going to play with that real quick. And then I'm going to go down here to colors. What's cool about that is it'll pull from it whatever your colors are, and you can either do a color shift or just whatever. So what I can do with this, because I'm going and pulling, I'm sure I could go do this also with maybe Photoshop, like if I was in hue and saturation and then went to the red channel, I'm sure I can go and pull it over to a magenta or something like that. But I don't know. But I kind of like this because I can start really kind of separating out how the colors are working together. Again, it's like right now you're seeing a ring. I think if I did this in um, Photoshop, I could probably do it in Capture One. Actually, I'm certain I can do it in Capture One. Um, but it might very well go and affect her flesh tones as well. Um, and I want to avoid that. But it's cool that it'll actually recognize it a little bit differently, and then you can tweak it in a way. So I see that this is a useful little I can go play with. I've even done like digital art and digital paintings. Like I would even use this, even though it's like I guess designed for perhaps photography. I would do paintings and stuff and still use this because of how it treated color. So it's interesting. It's cool that I guess it's still recognizing the lips as red, but then it's also going and playing with the cheek and a little bit of the ear. So we'll increase that a little bit. And then get rid of some of the oranges. Very slightly. Maybe a little bit more. We'll go to -2. So again, like when I'm playing with luminosity masking, luminosity masking will do, in accordance to values, and it'll make maps that I can go in the channels to make color adjustments to. But just actively getting parts of the face and bringing out different features and curvatures is really cool, and that's what I like this program for. So I'm gonna go down and make a conversation, and it's saturated or more so. Green. Said the last time I Photoshop actually didn't recognize magenta really at all. And then when I brought that picture into this program, Exposure 3, I was actually able to bring some stuff out using magenta. So again, it's just kind of a useful tool. Very, very cool. So I think with the oranges, that's making that a little bit more saturated than I would like it to be. All right, well, we're getting there. She's definitely starting to get the look. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to go look that up. Let's go. What is this? Control C. Kind of perfect timing too, because my music just died. So let's get that going. Here we go. And then, all right. So what is this? Huh. All right, that's interesting. Still no audio? It'd be super crazy if I've been talking like forever. Oh man. Let's see. That's crazy. Um, hmm. All right, well, I might have to just roll with it. Yikes. Hmm. So basically, I'm doing an audio test real quick. So I'm gonna go check it out on another device and see if it's working out. If not, just because I have to finish this kind of tonight. Okay. That's super sus. Can you stay on there for a minute, Lev? All right, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. You there? Nothing. Do you hear the music at all? Can't hear anything. Oh, that's awful. Hmm. That's no fun. Hmm. That's really unfortunate. I don't understand why that happens. Um. Hey, does it have any kind of like notification that says like it got muted or something like that? Nothing. Yikes. Hmm. All right, test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. And anything? Okay. You back on? I wonder if I'm just really kind of like lagging because of the weather. It's on? Yeah. Okay, well, it sounds like my sound's on, so that's super cool. All right. So it works? All right, cool. All right, so maybe I just need to take a short break from it real quick. Weather's kind of bad. I don't know if that's got something to do with it, but I'll look into it this week and try to make it so that doesn't happen anymore, because that's not cool. All right, at least not for me. All right, so what I was doing basically is, I'm in Exposure 3 from Photoshop, so they're kind of working side by side. And let's see. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, so they work side by side. I think my sound works now, so that's good too. And what I use this this plugin or this application for is because it treats color a little bit different than Photoshop, and I like that a lot. So I'm gonna play. All right, cool. So with the lips, it's important for me that they remain soft. I don't like to blow them out. I don't like to make them too saturated or dark, but I do like them to stand out. So I do play with that sometimes. And I'll leave the oranges alone. Again, with the yellow, it's the ring. All right, cool. All right. So that's kind of what I do with color. I'm going to add a layer real quick. I'm going to inspect kind of my whole image. Works out for me. Yeah, and then let's see. Let's go. And play with the whites, the blacks, the shadows, and the highlights. And then maybe a little bit of contrast, but we'll see. Again, I want her skin to remain soft. But I don't mind if she becomes a little bit punchy. So, little tweaks. See what that looks like. I think that looks good. Super smooth. Still super soft. Fall off's good. The highlights alone. The darks are okay. So the shadows, I don't mind that too much at all. So I'm gonna refresh the chat real quick. Here we go. All right, cool. All right. All right, so contrast is up about 5 points. Shadows, I brought those down a little bit. All right. The whites up to 2. And let's play with vibrance a little bit. Again, I don't want to be too saturated. So that looks nice to me. There seems to be kind of a hue shift a little bit in her thigh. All right, cool. So I'm going to add another layer on top of that. I'm going to pull all the way out. And I'm going to see if I want to go play with a vignette or not. And let's see if I want to do a little bit of a glow. So I almost like that's okay. So let's go turn that down just a little bit. There we go. So we got a little bit of a glow. There's no color to that glow at all. I'm not sure if it'll stay or not. Cool, but I like it so far. So let's see what happens. Vignette. I like vignettes a little bit because they pull the viewer's attention to the subject. You can kind of control that a little bit. But at the same time, with this particular image, I don't really want it to be too portraity. So if I do that, it'll be very slight. And it'll be almost like just atmosphere. So almost not like a proper vignette that actually goes around the entire image. All right, cool. So I might move that a little bit. And so what I essentially did, it's almost like the light source is over here. So I don't want a wraparound vignette to where it's affecting the top of the image. I just want to go and showcase the model. Cool. All right, I kind of dig that. Maybe. So let's go. Play with this a little bit. And then again, I'm going to go and kind of there we go. All right, so kind of moody, right? And let's see if that's a look or not. Cool. I kind of dig it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and send this back to Photoshop. So I'm just going to hit apply real quick. And then I'm going to do kind of a before and after and see if this is where I want to go with this image. So there's something that I stumbled upon last night in Photoshop, and I've never really used it, so I might play with it. Cool. So I'm going to add a mask to this, and then I'm going to get the paintbrush. I'm going to make that paintbrush quite large. And I'm going to remove this corner up here. So again, I don't want it to be a proper vignette that I guess goes over the entire image. So let's go. All right, cool. So I almost want it to be like faking directional light. So it's like I did a mood right out of camera. All right, so that's kind of a before and after with what I did. You could see it in her ring. You could see it in her lips. A little bit of a glow to the skin and all that good stuff. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to make a stamp of it. So Control Shift Alt and E. And then I'm going to go to a plugin that I have that I like quite a bit, but I don't think it's going to be necessary at all. So I might not use it. In that I was able to get kind of an IR or kind of a glow, if you will, from Alien Skin or Exposure 3, whatever you want to call it. And that is way, way loud. So I'm not going to use this at all. And the reason is I've never used this with a black or a white background. And what that does, if you go to the mask, right, or X-ray, is it shows where it's affecting the actual image. So I could go to maybe threshold if I want to. And crank that like way down. But even then it's going to be, well, I don't know, maybe like in the bottom. That's kind of cool. So I almost just don't like it. Yeah, it's a little bit too stylized, so I'm going to drop it. Alright, cool. So white backgrounds, not so much with this sort of thing. That particular plugin, Honoric, I guess, is something that I used to use for digital art, making glowy things. But how it recognizes things, if I went, yeah, basically if I wanted to do like a glowy ring or something like that, so I'd go, how would I do that? So, let's go to levels. Let's bring the image kind of way down, where it's a whole lot darker. All right, cool. And then I'll just give it an example. I mean, obviously that looks terrible, but nevertheless, is what you can do is um, go and get a brush. So I'm going to hit D and X to clear my palette to where it's just white. And then I'm just going to do a spiral real quick because that's how I roll. What this plugin actually does, and it's really, really cool because you could actually do this with like your highlights in your photography. You can use it in your photography to make glowy things. And you could do it with a lot of control. You could even do color overlays and stuff. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to recognize this white, and it's going to make whatever is white in the image or solid white glow. So essentially I could go to that, and then I could go to colorize. And now I have weird glowy stuff in my image. So like if you ever want to make neon signs or just crazy things like that, it's kind of a cool way to go do that. And I think it is behind a paywall. It's a little plugin that you will pay for. But if you like, I don't know, different things where you have that ability, it's definitely super cool. So I'm going to go and throw these away. In this particular image, it's not very useful to me, so I'm not going to use it. So with where the image is currently, I'm trying to figure out if if I want to color the background or not. I think I'm going to keep it white. I'm going to keep it white. So I promised myself I would keep it white. So I'm going to keep it white. But if I want to get rid of these wrinkles, so there's a couple ways that I can do that. Probably the fastest is just going to be heel brush tool. So I'm going to go to up to and vertical. Before I do that though, I'm going to save my work because I've done a lot and I don't want to redo it. And then I'm going to hit up to vertical. Again, if you get a retouching toolkit anywhere on Google, you should be able to find that if you're into retouching, or if you want a tool that kind of helps do that in a streamlined way. Just so you're not going through different windows. Like everything that retouching toolkit has or whatever, it's in your program. This just has a interface to where it's all on one little thing, including your exports and stuff. Anyway, all right, so I have the composition kind of here. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. That sounds about good. And then this, I'm going to go and play with it kind of in. I'm not going to go too far because, like I said, I'm not going to be like pixel perfect with this by any stretch of the imagination. I just want to get rid of a little bit of the noise. So I'll do just that. So essentially I can go diffusion, current and below is what I'm going to set it on, diffusion 5. And that way it just kind of blends in. How do I want to play with this? I'm actually going to save myself some grief. I'm going to Control J. I'm going to make this one red. And I'm going to work on that copy. And that way, if I don't like it, or if I go too far, I could just use a mask, bring out what I do like that I did, and leave the rest. But I might just clean up, keep the super broad folds, right? And then clean up the little ones. around the image. And then I might call it a day as far as that's concerned. I might do this a different way, actually. Let's see. Let's try different things. So I usually like to clean up the backdrop, but I'm feeling a little bit frisky today. So let's see what we got. So I'm actually going to get rid of that real quick. Go back to a full image. Set screen. And then this copy one, I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to, let's see, noise, dust and scratches. All right. Let's kind of see what we can play with. So threshold, I think I'm going to crank that up a little bit. And let's see if some of this mess starts going away. So it's definitely affecting the model, but it's not really doing a whole lot for the backdrop, so this might have been the wrong answer. Okay, here we go. Now we're seeing a little bit of a result. All right, so I like that and I don't. The reason that I don't is because it kind of creates banding. So let's see. Let's see what else we can play with. Let's see. So filter, we could go to noise medium, add noise, reduce noise. I don't want to blur, or at least I don't think I do. What about surface blur? I could get on that. So we got 10 and 40. Yeah, I think I could dig on that. So let's see. So what I really kind of don't like about blurring, unless you're going to take away all the detail, is that exactly that, you're missing the detail. So let's see what that looks like real quick. See what's going on. All right, hopefully y'all can still hear me. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty a little bit earlier, and my sound went away, which was unfortunate, because it was even the music. They even cut the music. Why did they cut the music? I could have been down with just working on art and jive into music. That would have been cool. All right, so do it now. I can still hear me. Yeah. Okay. Yay. All right, so I got a sound check because my woman is awesome. She's always looking out for me. Always looking out for me. So this surface blur is taking forever. I think my computer is chugging. So I think I'm doing the stream on YouTube, stream on Twitch. Got epidemic sound going on. And then I think like 4 programs running. That's crazy. Oh man. All right, so chug-a-lug-a-lug. All right, cool. So it did the frequency or the surface blur, and what it seemed to do is just calm it down a little bit. So I could totally get down with that. It's not bad. And what's cool about this too is when I go put a mask on, because I don't have any issue with the backdrop, kind of where her body is. You know, I'm not gonna have to go like right into her hairline and stuff like that to make sure that it's kind of seamless. So I'm gonna go and put surface blur into my toolkit of options. Definitely not scratching or what is it, dust and scratches filter. So anyway, I put a mask on it. I'm gonna hit Control I. That's gonna invert the mask. If you've ever been in Photoshop, when you use masks, whatever is white or whiter will show up. Whatever is black will disappear. So it's very, very, very powerful in what you can do with it. All right, so I got my brush. I'm going to go flow to 100, opacity to 100, and I'm going to just start finessing this real quick. It would totally help if I had my brush set to white. And what I want to do is I just want to get a little bit of this noise away. Again, I don't usually leave the backdrops messy, but I think it's a look for this one. So I'm going to just trust my gut. And kind of go from there. Cool. So do you still have it running on your phone? Oh, okay, cool. That's so fun. Oh, there was a viewer or whatever, and I didn't know if it was just you on the phone. And I was just like, oh yeah, that's so funny. All right, cool. All right, well, so sorry about that. I was talking to the wife for just a second, checking in with her. I didn't know if she was still on Twitch, just kind of letting it run on her phone and being supportive. But it seems like I get a silent viewer out there, so whoever you are, I hope you're having an awesome night, and I hope you're enjoying. So some chill beats, cool model, cool new look. I'm actually really excited about this one because I've never presented a look like this before. And I'm really kind of anxious to go take it out on some of the other people that I shoot and see what I can go and pull out of it. Woo. All right, so careful when you do masks though, and especially with like blur. If you go into the model's body. I did a streak before, maybe about 2-3 weeks ago, that went all the way through the model's hair, and I didn't catch it until much later in the process, and I literally had to restart probably an hour and a half of work because I collapsed my layers, and I did not see that I destroyed a lot of the texture in her hair, which is not okay with me. So if anything that I've learned about women, don't F with their hair. So I took the safe route and I deleted it and then I restarted. Alright, cool. Alright, so I totally like this feel. I like the background or the actual bass quite a bit.
I think that's super cool. And what I think it did is it just calmed it down just ever so slightly. So, cool. All right, so I'm gonna do, what would I do? I do Control Shift Alt, or Control Alt Shift E to make a stamp of it. And then let's see, let's go to a filter. Let's go to surface blur, and let's see if I can get it one more time. So I did it one more time, or one more pass. And I think what that's going to do after I did a stamp is it's going to allow me to kind of work like right in this area and maybe that area. And then after that, I think I'll be good with it. I don't think I'm going to go much further than that because it's kind of not worth it, I guess. You know, it's like clean up the backdrop or don't. So trying to find the in between, but at the same time, really it's just about removing distractions, and I'm just choosing to go about it this way instead. I could do the clone brush tool, but because I want to leave a lot of the actual ribbons in the folds, I'm dealing with a lot of gradients between light and shadow, and they're all over the place. And as I'm healing, I'm going to actually have to keep the values and the colors and stuff like that, and that just seems like a headache that I don't want to do for a backdrop. I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to, and it'll be cool. Alright, so that finally rendered out, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a mask on it, Control I. I'm going to go over these little trouble spots one more time. See if I could get them a little softer. And again, I don't mind in this image that they are occurring. Cool. So I might do something at the top of the image right here. I don't know if I like that, but it also goes into this kind of vignette that I did earlier. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that's where I will do a heel brush tool, because I think that's actually going to bother me. The rest looks pretty good. So let's see. I'm going to F it. So I'll go Control Shift Alt E. Get rid of this and this, and then all right, a little bit calmer, didn't affect the model at all. All right, so all right, cool. All right, so I'm gonna go and grab this heel brush tool, and I'm gonna just finesse that. Maybe I'm not. So let's go to how do I want to play with this? Let's do this instead. Let's go and do clone stamp. And because clone stamp almost acts like a brush, I'm going to put the flow down to maybe 20. And then I'm going to put the opacity down to about 50. And then I'm going to finesse it that way instead. And that way, it just kind of blends in really well. All right, so my monitor does this weird thing. It's so funny because it doesn't show up and yeah, while I'm streaming, but I just had a color shift on my monitor and that irritates me so much. So, because right now the values are there, but the entire image literally looks completely different. And that bothers me to no end. So that color shift is still there. All right, cool. So let's get this up. Down. Having all the technical difficulties today. So first one was with all of y'all not being able to hear me. Second one is now you can see an image that I can't see because the one that I see is... It's like almost like if you completely desaturated it. Ugh. Alright, cool. Alright, so I'm going to save this real quick. And then just because the values are still here, I think I'll still be able to make it work. And it won't be terrible. So, alright, cool. So... so I'm going to Control Z that 2-3 times, and then I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. And see if I can kind of taper this off a little bit without it being super weird. I already don't like it. So let's see. Let's get that to climb back a little bit. So maybe I'll do the opposite. Go like a 13 with the flow or the opacity. Yeah, I still don't like it. All right. Oh. Shift E. All right, well, I'm glad I did all my color grading before my monitor started to color shift. So we'll see if we can bring that back. So right now I'm just working with values, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to go back to Heal Brush tool, and then I'm going to do the diffusion, and I'm going to bring that up a little bit. And hopefully just do a very kind of quick and dirty. I think what I don't like about this top part, what's bothering me, is that it kind of made triangles. And there was like a directionality to it, and I don't particularly care for that. I want to have a lot of this to be kind of organic feeling and looking. Cool. Right, so I like that a lot better. Yeah, a lot subtler, all that good stuff. Okay, so let's make sure I didn't mess up her face at all. I did not. And then, well, I'm really coming to a close. So I'm going to run an action real quick. And it's going to be something I picked up from Flern a long time ago. It's basically just amazing eyes. Essentially what it does is it sharpens things, and it uses a filter. If you go to other, and then you get a high pass, once you made an image black and white, or however contrasty you want to, you could go to, what is it, make it a high pass, and then you can go and change the, I want to say the blending mode to like screen or something like that. What I like about this is, one, it's already an action that I like to use. Two, it always says amazing eyes, so I already know I'm going to use it for that. But I'm also going to use it for her lips, and I'm also going to use it for her nostril, perhaps her nose ring, and perhaps her earring. So basically where there's sharp edges. So a lot of the actual action I'm going to get rid of because I don't need it. So for instance, the color fill, the vibrance, and the curves, that's if you want to make the irises, the actual iris, the color of the eye pop. I don't want to do that. If I didn't get that out of camera, I don't want to go to try to fake that. I don't know. Yeah, my thing. Anyway, so this color fill, vibrance, and curves I'm going to get rid of. And what I like about this action is they essentially made this high pass into a smart filter. So if I go click on it, I can actually, here, I'll actually do this real quick so you could see. So if I disable this mask, right, so you could see how kind of sharp 2.5 went, I could go to this high pass, whereas if you do like a high pass once or something like that, you know, what you see is what you get. You'd have to do it over again to make further adjustments. But in real time, as I'm adjusting things, I could actually go to tweak it. Within the image. So anyway, I'm going to hit cancel because I like it at 2.5. I think that's fine. Let's see, the smart filter. Yeah, so I guess they're on overlay. So yeah, I think it's overlay. If you want it to be harsher, you'd go to like soft light or vivid light or something like that. And it can make it even harsher as far as how detailed or grainy you want it to be. Anyway, I like it right here. I'm going to re-enable that mask. And the first pass I'm going to do, let's do up to and vertical. Yes, I got my color back, I believe. Sorry, my screen does this thing where it changes the scene in the middle of my workflow, and sometimes it's super irritating. Like if I open I don't know, a web browser or something like that, my main screen will fluctuate, or there'll be a color shift, and that could really mess me up sometimes. So anyway, I'm going to do up to vertical. I'm going to click on this one real quick, fit screen, so I could see the whole composition. And then I'm going to go right into her face, because everything that I'm going to do is kind of right here. All right, cool. So with this mask, I'm going to go and get a paintbrush,
the mask is black, so it does not show these filters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint into it white so that it shows me what I want to see, or it exposes that filter. At first, I'm going to paint it 100%, which is way too much. It's super, super fake. Don't like it at all. But it helps me to see it because it's easier to erase what you don't like than to bring back what you think you like but you can't see, or what you think you might like but you can't see. So I'd rather take away. So this is where I go to the ridge of the nose. I'm also going to go over here because I like that dimensionality, almost like that buttony nose. I'm going to sharpen her nose adornment, the edges of her teeth, and then I'll go to pull the lips. Cool. And then, do I want to do her hoop? I don't think I want to do her hoop. All right, cool. So that's kind of that. All right. So again, super, super loud with the details. Super, super not necessary. So I'm going to get my flow. I'm going to bring that to, let's say about 16. I think yesterday I did 14 because I was trying to get 15 and so I was like, okay, 14 works. All right, so, and then I'm going to hit X, which is going to make black my primary color in my palette. And then I'm going to go and start taking this back a little bit. And so with this sort of thing, sharpness is important, yes. I get it, especially if you're putting your images on the internet, because a lot of places I've heard Facebook is like, I won't even post there, or be on there for that matter. But anyway, they'll condense the images, and when they do so, it can kind of dull them out or make them less sharp. So these are going to go onto Instagram, and they're going to go for web resolution to the model that was sitting. So if you want to see them in their cropped format and all that good stuff, go check them out on Instagram. They'll be up in probably about an hour or so. But I will walk you through how I do my crops and how I go to present them. All right, so that's slightly more crisp. Just looking at everything, making sure. Sometimes when you go to sharpen things, there'll be like a color shift, and it's super, super annoying. I don't want that. All right, let's see what we got. All right, so I think I like it. Alright, so I like the nose ring. I'm going to kind of calm down the nostril over here really quick. Alright, cool. Alright, I like it. Alright, so let's see. So that's the full composition. I'm still a little bit paranoid that I'm looking at the wrong let's do a little thing real quick. So I'm gonna get on Twitch real quick on my phone. And I'm gonna see what I'm seeing if what I see in the monitor is accurate. I guess I could go and just move Photoshop to this screen, but well, let's see what. Yeah, so my monitor did like a super like weird thing, and it's super annoying. Alright. Cool. Alright, troubleshooting photography. Alright, so I'm going to, let's do up to vertical. Let's go to this, go to that. Let's bring this window over here. Yeah, that's super weird. Alright, cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do with this, because I can't really see with the color shift, is I'm going to start preparing it for crops. I'm also going to go put my metadata in there just as a habit. Alright, so I'm going to go and merge all those layers together. I'm going to go into my kind of retouching toolkit because it's kind of my go-to for that sort of thing. I'm going to set my copyright. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to save the image. Cool. All right, and then I'm going to start resizing for web. So first one, so I save usually for 2048, and that way if whenever I put a folio up, it's kind of saved for the web, and I use the same sizing for Instagram, even though I think Instagram wants it to be like 1080 or something like that. Anyway, I'm just going to let it do that. So first one is this. The second one, I'm going to go crop. I do not do delete crop pixels. I also what am I doing? Original ratio. I also do not like send it to web resolution and then crop the web version. I want my high megapixel image, my original image. I want to do all my crops from. And what I'm looking for essentially is a main composition. That differs a bit from the entire image. And this is going to do is it's going to let me get on Instagram, and instead of having to zoom in an image to see details, I'm essentially going to do a medium look, or a zoomed out look, a medium look, and then a zoomed in look, so that people can see just, I guess, the work that I did, if they're interested, and be able to do that without pixelating the image. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to resize again. I'm going to send that over. I'm going to make it full screen, make sure that that's a composition that I actually like. I do. And then I'm going to go and crop this one more time. Actually, I'm going to get a full screen, and then I'm going to crop it in one more time. And this is where, you'll be able to get on to Instagram and actually see kind of full detail of everything. So super cool. Is that the crop I want? I'm not sure. Let's see. I think that's what we're going to rock with, probably. So I will get like areas of interest, eyes, mouth, interesting details that lead the eye. Right now, the mouth, the eye, or eye closest are on this rule of thirds. This one right here is here. So to me, that's an attractive composition. I don't know if I like where it cuts. I guess I would like that a little bit lower, but I equally don't like that her dress is or her skirt is straight across. What I could do is I could go down for the belt, if you will, but now essentially I have triangles down here, and I just don't really want that. I'm also going to run into her leg, so I think that's I think that's going to be the crop that I go for. So it's the closest to making me happy. And Photoshop is thinking, so I'm going to let it think. I'm going to resize that for web. I'm going to fit the screen. And yeah, so all three of these, I think, are good little compositions. I do want to see something real quick with the actual original one, if that's actually the full crop that I want, because I want to say that I just kind of went gung-ho and didn't do that to start with. So I wonder, so if I hit crop, yeah, I wow, I don't even think I did an original freaking crop. That's crazy. That's rare that ever happens. So I'm going to hit clear on the ratio, and that way I can freely kind of play with this sort of thing. Let's see what that looks like real quick. I may or may not. I don't know if I should have tilted it, but we'll see. It's so funny. It seems like it bowed the legs. Alright, so let's see what this does real quick. So this was a fun image to work on. This is the closest thing that I've got to kind of that, I don't know, yeah, that edgy fashion type, like editorial look, like studio setting. I think a lot of my images are more of a portraiture type thing. Let's see. So this one, she's kind of lost. This one, she's kind of, I like that one better. And these are cropped in enough to where I don't think that shift is going to matter with the stool. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of this one. I'm not going to save it. With this one, I'm going to do resize for web. And then we'll just keep going. All right, so that's so funny that it did not even crop that. Oh my gosh. All right. All right, so let's see, that's the super zoomed in one. There we go. A little bit further out, a little bit further out. All right, I like it. All right. So when I export things like this, what I typically do is file, export. I do not do save as. And then I do save for web legacy. So do what works for you, but this is kind of what I do. All right, so with this is basically a preview of monitor color. I have my copyright and contact information. I do ping 24, transparency, the image size, so heights, typically unless I'm doing landscape or landscape style shot, the height's going to be 2048, and then I do bicubic for quality, and that's about it. And then I'll just save it off and kind of go from there. So I'll go kind of do that. So a lot of my stuff, like naming conventions, are important. So see, basically do my file setup to where it's the date of the shoot. Followed by the name of the actual model. and then different shoots and different shots get different naming conventions. So this one is roughly a week or so, a little bit more than a week after the initial shoot. So I'm actually going to give that today's date as the awesome 11/11/2021. So these files are going to live in there. And basically I'm going to do a file setup to where I can go and email these. All right, cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up exporting all three of these, and then I'm going to do a framing crop, and then that's basically going to set it up for Instagram. I'll run through that in just a second. So just want to get these real quick. I think it's easier to export before you change the crop and change the background, so that you don't have to work backwards. All right, cool beans. That's number 2 and number 3. Cool beans. All right. So I'm actually kind of excited about this. I'm really don't do white backgrounds very well, so it was nice to actually do this and be able to do nice flesh tones without kind of messing that up. So I cheated a little bit in that I kind of did a casting shadow, so not solid white, but nevertheless. All right, so all right, this is where I'll go into a crop. The ratio, I'll go 1:1 square, so kind of telltale Instagram, a little bit above it. A little bit below it. There we go. We'll finish that off. We'll add a layer, drop it below, paint fill white, call it a day. Super cool. All right, I think I like it. I hope I like it. Oh my gosh. Sometimes I don't know until the next morning. So when you stare at an image for a long time, it could be really good and you hate it, and you don't realize that it's really good until the next morning, or as good as I guess what you can do in your current development. And then, you know, you might love it and be super excited about it that night, and then wake up the next morning and absolutely hate it. So it's a double-edged kind of sword. Cool beans. All right, so that one's done, so I'll get rid of it. I'll move on to the next one. Let's see, so we're going to crop, move up, down, good with it. All right, add a layer, drop it below. What am I doing? Paint bucket, fill to white, export, save to web legacy. Uh, cool beans. All right, so it's going to be that one. All right, that one's done, so I'll get rid of it. And then number 3, magical number 3. All right, crop, maybe. Crop tool, I don't know why it went into perspective, but it did. All right, we'll go down, go up, hit OK. New layer, drop it to the bottom, paintbrush or paint bucket, fill, export, web legacy, and that's it. That's pretty much half of my workflow. Yeah, if you tuned in, I guess, yesterday, or if you go to my mainstream page, you can find my image cleanup. That's the entire kind of retouch or whatever as far as cleaning the textures of the skin. Everything that I did before color grading and finalization. All right, so that's done. Super cool. Super cool. So let's see. All right, so yeah, I'm going to get rid of that one now. I'm going to save this. All right, so I'm going to drop these real quick. Copy. Cool. Alrighty, so that's about it. So yeah, that's my kind of whole workflow. I do need to go see if this is an image that I feel is complete. My monitor did a wonky kind of hue shift on me. So I want to see it on another screen with another device and see if it actually gives justice to what I've been doing. Yeah, and then just kind of go from there. So if you check out my Instagram, links are essentially down in my about page. Come support me over there. Yeah, you should see these images dropped here in about hopefully in the next hour or so. And then until next time. All right, y'all have fun.